Nick Rishwain of experts.com. How are you doing, bud? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Mitch. It's always good to see you.
Ooh,
I'm doing well. Thank you.
We keep this up, you're going to be my favorite guest of all time.
That's always the goal.
And it's always the case. Every show you're on, I mean, it's amazing. And so I want to thank you, Nick Rishwain, Vice President of experts.com. Legal Tech Live for being on today's show. For all of you watching, bring your legal tech questions, bring your expert witness questions. We'll run them by Nick. Share this out on all the platforms, everyone, whether you're watching live or recorded. And let's dive right in. Nick, experts.com. What's the platform about and how do you add value or bring value to attorneys?
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. And again, thank you for having me on the show. Always great to see you. Experts.com is a marketing platform for expert witnesses and consultants. It's and you are one of our favorite members of the platform. It is a way for it's high level domain. Great traffic, great way to market your expert witness practice or your consulting practice, if that's the case. We've got a lot of people who just do consulting. And Chris Strub is in the house. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. It's a great way for you to do your marketing of your expert witness practice. And we don't broker the engagement. We don't interfere in any way. They list their profile with us. Attorneys, media, government agencies, they can all reach out to the expert directly.
So how does the platform work? Let's say I'm an expert witness and I specialize in COVID-19 virus detection and prevention. I want my expertise to be known to the world. How can you help me?
Yeah. Big area right now, for one, and even bigger area in COVID and correctional healthcare. Seems to be very, very busy area of expertise right now. And what you would do is you sign up. We are an annual subscription-based marketing platform. So you sign up and we market your services. We don't have a COVID category. It is a COVID, although we may in the near future, it is what is called an infectious disease. We've got a lot of experts in infectious disease. It's happened for years. So this is just one more of those. And then you register with us. You submit your application. We do require you submit your application because there are folks who we don't want on the site. So we don't just accept anybody's money to market their service. You have to actually be qualified and not have some horrific outstanding information about you. Malpractice, maybe even beyond malpractice. But you register, you start marketing your services as a COVID prevention, COVID safety expert. And we promote that through social and other avenues that, of course, we've learned from you about, Mitch.
Well, one thing that, first of all, let's be clear here. You and I go back to about 2012, and I've learned as much from you and what you're doing on social. So impressed by what you're doing that I asked you to write a chapter in my book on social media. So you guys, connect with Nick above and beyond expert witness needs. And we're going to get into those other areas of expertise. So I'm an expert witness. I'm listed at experts.com. And what's happening is I'm able to share what I can bring to the table, what my areas of expertise are, both during testimony, maybe document review, maybe consulting at time of trial. But then here's the part I like. Because I am a trial lawyer, if I need one of those experts, I can go onto your website and do a search, keyword, topics, whatever it might be. And I, on my own time, can find who I feel is a good expert for my particular case and client, right?
Yep. And then you can contact them directly. You don't even need to contact us. Mitch is on there. Mitch has got his contact information, his email address, his phone number. You reach out to the expert directly, which is kind of the old style of doing it is that you wouldn't necessarily be able to talk to the expert until you sign the contract with a broker. Well, we just didn't like it. We're kind of ideologically opposed to that. How do you know that this is the right expert for your case? How do you know that you're going to really work well with this person? Well, you got to communicate with them directly. So that's why we are the way we do what we do.
And in the listing, Nick, describe what I'll be able to see if I'm an attorney going on to check out, what expert witnesses I may want to retain. What's in the listing?
Yeah, well, so we call it a profile because
Profile.
listings kind of the old directory style, and we do a lot more than the directory. But
Good, good.
uh, so you're going to go on there. You're going to see what the person looks like. Generally, you should have a photo on a profile these days, right? That's 101. So get to see what the person looks like. We do a variety of different things. You're going to have the summary, description of expertise, a link to their CV. Generally, the two main things you're going to need for an expert. Beyond that, if you're taking advantage of all the bells and whistles, you can add articles, which for those people who are really interested in search engine optimization, adding articles on our site can get you onto the first page of Google and Bing within like a couple of days, maybe 2 hours of being going online because of being the article being activated because of our domain credibility. And and then you're going to be searchable in a variety of different categories of expertise. If you take care of all the bells and whistles, you can even embed a YouTube video or some other video so that a lawyer or insurance company, whomever is looking to hire your expertise, can actually see and hear you and see how you perform and those types of things. So there's a lot of bells and whistles, which is why we are really not just a listing service. If you're taking full advantage of content creation on our site, it's a real powerful platform.
I'm curious what the hot topics are right now, the hot needs for expert witnesses, whether it's COVID or virus related, whether it's fire damage or claims expertise right now in California. Nick, just out of curiosity, what's the highest demanding experts right now?
Yeah, this one's always fun. I always like this. It's almost like your top 5 list of variety of top 5s, right? Right. But it's regularly changing. So certainly big in most times. Obviously, accident reconstruction is always the most active. That is just the way of the beast. Medical malpractice is usually also the most active, but there are topical things that really crank up. And in the last, I'd say 5 years, corrections, jails, prisons, and correctional healthcare have become pretty hot areas. Forensic psychiatry and forensic psychology are always hot areas because that's a pretty standard need. But COVID, infectious disease, very big. And certainly right now, hot topic would be insurance experts for business interruption lawsuits are really cranking right now. Those people who did not have an infectious disease rider to protect their business from losses are now suing insurance companies over, look, this should be covered. COVID interruption as a result of government action should cover our losses. And so insurance business interruption specifically is a hot topic of litigation right now.
I'm hearing, in the back of my mind, insurance first party bad faith, bad faith experts. What are those? And do you provide them on your platform?
All sorts of, I know that's probably near and dear to your heart, Mitch. That seems to be.
I'm getting a warm and fuzzy feeling.
I thought so. Yeah, so bad faith is pretty common for insurance experts across the board. There's a lot of bad faith claims. This it would be more policy specific litigation, because usually there's business interruption, which is, and then of course with insurance they kind of say business interruption except for every one of these items that we listed here. And then usually separate from that, and that's why this is really kind of fun and interesting, if you think this stuff's fun and interesting, is generally infectious disease or some other resulting thing is covered in a different part of the policy or not covered. And what everybody's saying is, no, when you sold me the business interruption, you told me everything's covered. And so that's going to be what the big fight about. And we're talking millions, billions probably in litigation. I just saw one with a company. It was $130 million lawsuit. These are big lawsuits, and somebody's going to win some of these. And that could open the floodgates when generally this would be kept out.
And what's important for the audience to know is on these large insurance bad faith cases, it does sometimes come down to who has the best expert, right? Which expert's on the stand that's relating to the jury and can build rapport and be that leader in the courtroom. And you've had, you share tools on your platform to help experts be better experts. I think that's really important for experts to be aware of, is what can they do to raise the bar and be more effective, more persuasive, and get better results for the lawyers and the clients that hire them. Let's pivot real quick.
Sure.
Nick, I know that you're fascinated, interested, and in fact, you are a thought leader when it comes to legal tech. And you've got a show, LegalTechLIVE platform, Facebook group, the whole thing. What got you interested in legal tech? I'm just curious. I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask you that question before.
Yeah. I was in experts.com is what I call Legal Tech 1.0. Maybe we would be 2.0, depending, where we were the marketing platform that was in the early 2000s that kind of came out of the .com bubble or the .com
Sure.
era. And so I was working with experts.com, and I'm using my legal knowledge, and I'm using tech knowledge, and I'm doing research. And then about 5 years ago, some really cool technological advances started coming to market. And I was like, man, I'm really missing the boat on some really cool stuff that's happening in this area. And I'm already in the area, so I want to get to know more about what people are doing. And probably the items that caught my attention, because I do like the more, my friends will often have to remind me that I like the next cool thing or the flashy thing, and it's really cool to me. And that's so I was like, oh, artificial intelligence, this is fascinating. Let's see what's really going on in this. So I started interviewing people back when a lot of us started getting in, probably back near around the time that I got to meet you and our friend Nicole Abood and all that. We were all doing live video, and I thought, okay, well, I don't see anybody doing live video on legal technology, because that's really niche. And so I started doing it because I wanted to. It probably did it as networking and out of my own interest. I wanted to see and talk to people who were building some of these pretty cool products.
And you have a weekly show, Legal Tech Live, and you bring these people in as guests on your show. You talk to them. Can you share with us maybe what one or two services since you started your show surprised you or caught you off guard or really impressed you that maybe the rest of us don't really know too much about because we're not really, neck deep in that industry?
Yeah. So there's a variety. It's hard to say. I love them all equally, right? Because
I know that.
Because I'm an advocate for legal tech startups, and but there are some really, really cool things that are really well engineered that can really be beneficial to the legal community. A huge fan of Trellis Law and their founder, Nicole Clark.
So tell us about what is Trellis Law?
They are judicial analytics, tentative rulings. And they're really focused on state court judicial analytics, or they'll call judicial intelligence, where you can actually review tentative rulings from these from judges. Orange County, judges in Orange County. You want to see if you've got a heavy motion practice, and you want to see how Judge Smith ruled on a particular thing. And hopefully there's not a Judge Smith there that you have to interact with. Judge A. Let's go with Judge A. Judge A. Okay. So Judge A rules this way. You go in and look at all his former motion, all the tentative rulings. You get a really good idea as to how they might rule on something. You start writing your motion to fit that. and all of a sudden you start winning all these motions.
That sounds pretty cool. You play to your audience.
You play into your audience, right? This was me writing my essay in college, knowing exactly how the professor thought. So I just cater it to that, right? That's the same kind of idea. All right. Well, I know their ideological stance. So right to it. So that is a really fascinating one. There's a lot of really awesome stuff out there. There's, a lot of document automation related work that's going on that is streamlining things. Like you were listening to one the other night about child support and recovering child support. There's a lot of really cool access to justice initiatives like that. Another one that's really people helping others through the small claims, kind of guiding through small claims court, which is a really stubborn and awful experience, even for a lawyer. I was talking to my dad who practices. I never have. And he was like, I've got to go over for the small claims thing. And I hate it. I don't want to do it. It's a nightmare. And so it's a tough experience for those of us who have knowledge about the industry. Probably another one that's really cool is a justice text, which I think that's the name of the firm that is actually reviewing video and transcribing video for public defenders.
Ooh, I like that.
So like body cam footage. And this is actually kind of a crossover with your earlier question about expert witnesses. Another big area certainly is police practices and procedures right now. When it's a hot topic in the news, you're almost guaranteed to see more so police brutality, things like that. When it's a hot topic in the news, you're almost guaranteed to see some new litigation. And so what this does is they can take, I believe CCTV, no, it would be body cam footage mostly, where audio, and then they transcribe that, and then you can keyword search through that audio to find that what was that statement that was made that we need for this defense. That way you don't have, because watching body cam footage that may be several hours long and looking for pertinent aspects, really time consuming.
Oh, that would be a huge time saver. That's pretty cool. That's pretty slick technology. Yeah,
very cool. And for my former guests, if I did a bad job of describing what you do, I apologize. I didn't expect the question. So, but feel free to comment underneath and correct it for.
You know what? Parker thinks your tips are awesome. Parker, it's good to see you. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just kind of trying to get a feel for the type of legal tech that you're hearing about, that you're like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is going to work in the real world. I get your pain when it comes to small claims cases in California. Nick, about 10 to 15 years ago, for 3 or 4 years, I was a judge pro tem in the small claims. And back then we had what were called municipal courts. I guess it's limited jurisdiction now. I didn't like putting on a robe and going out there and being a judge, because generally it wasn't always the person that was right that would win. It was the person that came in with the evidence that he or she needed to support their case. And as a judge, you have to rule that way. And I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Mm-hmm. So as a participant, I can only imagine, the headaches, the sleepless nights, right? So any technology to help you get through that challenge would be very well received.
And it, Mitch. I mean, you've been dealing with legal forms long enough that you know what goes in, but they are not the easiest thing to deal with, right? Legal forms are not user friendly. The legal system is not user friendly. And so probably what I find most exciting about legal technology and the startups working in the space is those that are trying to make it more user friendly.
One of the things I've noticed, and by the way, we have our very, very brilliant and observant Alabama lawyer, Mo Lilienthal, 2 great California guys. For those listening to the podcast version, Nick is the go-to on legal tech. And I'm going to second that. Mo, it's good to see you. I hope you're staying safe. And Mia Voss, bring me legal 411. Nick and I are only one call away, man. It's good to see you. Hey, Nick, I know that it seems to me that on is it Thursday evenings, right? Your LegalTech Live on Thursday evening.
That's the live version.
The live version, which is the version I'll usually catch here in Southern California. You seem to have a lot of startups, a lot of new companies. I know female founders also seem to be on your show. You're trying to shine a light on everyone, right?
Yeah.
Any particular reason why and maybe you don't focus on startups, but it seems to me like you kind of do, or maybe it's just a new thing. Any particular reason?
I like the startup space. It's exciting. I work in a small company that's, that can be akin to a startup, depending on what your view of a startup is. I work in a small company. I know some of the difficulties and pain points and obstacles that small companies face. You've served a lot of small companies over in your past in your business, and so I enjoy the founder and entrepreneur, and I enjoy that struggle as well as the success, and I really like the innovation that comes out of, well, I've had this idea and then we built it. I've seen some awesome trial, some timeline. Trial Line had an incredible timeline platform that's just beautiful. That those in your practice area would probably hugely benefit from. But I like it because they run into an issue. They know that there's a better solution for it. This is the solution they're creating. Doesn't always work out. I started with the startups because in early stage startups, because I felt like at a certain point, you've made it big enough and you've got a decent enough success or a good enough business that you start showing up on every other podcast in whatever sector you're in. And I wanted to talk to the people who maybe they'll never get any more traction, because I know how hard it is when you can't get any attention at an early stage. Now, I've been lucky that many of the guests that I've chosen have gone on to have some pretty solid success, and I think that's great. And some have closed shop, and that's unfortunate, but it is part of the startup life. It is part of the entrepreneurial experience, and so I liked that. I wanted to talk to people. I say it this way; they would probably all disagree. I want to talk to them before they're cool, according to an industry. I want to talk to them before they're really fancy.
It seems like some of your guests, they're just getting started. They're looking for funding. They're making their way through the process, and it's really interesting to listen to their mindset, to where they were, where they are now, where they want to go. And I love the back and forth conversation. It seems like sometimes over in the chat, things will be discussed where you can see the startups going, "Hey, that's not a bad idea."
And
Like
then building on that.
And building on it, you've got this community that's all working together. What kind of, first of all, let me say hi to Eric out of Northern Arizona. Eric,
Hey.
It's good to see you. Love your drone shots. And he was just, gosh, I don't have it at the top. I don't have the name of the city off the top of my mind. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, you guys. But Eric was posting pictures out of a city in Arizona I've never heard of before. So Eric, it's good to see you, and I love your photographs, love your photography, guys. Skilled drone pilot. Talk to us a little bit about how the cloud has maybe accelerated or allowed for more cloud-based legal tech companies to start to build out. We don't need CDs anymore, right? We don't need to be box software. I think it's really made a huge difference. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so certainly it's easy for, I prefer it. I've worked for a cloud-based company before it was called cloud-based, right? Before that was the terminology that we used. You could search and refer and do all for an expert and connect the lawyers and the expert through our cloud-based system that wasn't called a cloud-based system because it was before they used that terminology, right? So I think the cloud has changed significantly. I don't know. I know in the legal community there are certain resistance to cloud-based solutions. I don't know why. I know a lot of it, my understanding is concerns about security. But as I learned with some of my experts and somebody that you've interviewed in the past, that oftentimes the worst security is the physical security, and that's the most most often violated form of data breach is somebody coming in your office and they stick a USB port into the computer and they take it. So cloud is almost everybody that I interview has some form of a cloud-based service, and oftentimes it's per user payment, pay per user, or as they get higher, there may be some sort of enterprise licensing. But I think it's how much easier is it when we all had to shut down for 6 weeks this year?
Yeah.
You just go remote login or however you're doing it to your computer at the office, and you keep moving without having to be hammered to what is on your desktop at the office. And I think we learned a lot of that with COVID. And from some of the chief information officers that I've talked to at some big law firms recently, it seems that they were able to run pretty smooth by either they already had laptops that were connected to their cloud-based services, or they did some sort of remote desktop login that allowed them to communicate. I can pick up this laptop that I'm talking to you on. I can get on a plane. I can be in Colorado tomorrow, and I can still be doing work for experts.com. I can still be doing Legal Tech Live. I could do it before my interview on Legal Tech Live tomorrow night, which I should say, yes, I try to be very supportive of female founders and underrepresented founders and those things. And tomorrow night, I'm actually having a full female founder takeover where I'm not going to show my face at all. I will be administrative and just have them take it over. It's like the social media, like the social media takeovers that we did, that we used to do. And I thought, well, what if we just do a whole podcast or show takeover and let them run with it and do what they want to do?
Hey, it's a great idea. I want to say hi to AJ and Tyson, who have joined us. It's good to see you guys. Hope you guys are staying safe and well. Nick, so think about this, everyone. We've talked about security and cloud-based systems in the past. I'm going to guess that most of the legal tech companies you've had on your show are cloud-based, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to say most of them probably are. And for those of us, you say 6 weeks with COVID-19. There are a lot of us where, it's been 6 months, right?
Right.
Literally upside down. If it wasn't for browser-based cloud access, I'm not sure what a lot of our clients, what a lot of my friends that are lawyers, what they'd be doing right now. It'd be, it's challenging to help our clients if we don't have access. And I think this has really been an eye-opener to the power of the cloud, Nick. Security, it's interesting. A lot of people are so worried about security, but I would argue that a properly set up cloud-based system is more secure than FedEx leaving a package on your desk or on the receptionist desk at the front office, or sticking something in the mail that anybody can come by and grab and leave with. How secure is that?
Right.
And the big firms they're handing individual laptops to their attorneys, right? This is the only laptop you're using with our system. It's secure. It's encrypted. That's pretty darn secure compared to what we've been doing in the legal profession for the last 20 plus years. So listen, I know that you're on the clock, and I want to respect the time that you've set aside, which has been about 30 minutes. We're talking to Nick Rishwain, VP of experts.com, also a founder of Legal Tech Live. Nick, with everything that's going on in the world, COVID-19, social distancing, cloud-based services, legal tech advancements, what do you see coming down the pipe with respect to what lawyers are using to better serve their clients, what lawyers are using to be more efficient, more productive, and frankly, to help us keep our sanity in these crazy times where everybody's pulling from us, pulling from different directions, right?
Yeah.
What software should we pay attention to?
So I think this will sound a little bit less interesting and less futuristic than it probably is. I like that comment that Tyson had, that security is an excuse to resist change. This will sound a little less exciting, but I think we're going to see more of what we've seen in that I was out of the office for 6 months. I should say I've come back because I'm in a closed space, right? And it was like a mile from the house. So I just was like, I couldn't take it anymore. But I think we're going to see more of what we've already seen. More digitization. There's a reason that the NASDAQ has been booming. It's because of people purchasing technology. There's been huge digitization that's happened in the legal field in the last 6 months, probably more push. The pandemic has probably done more to push the legal industry into the 21st century than the 21st century did. So the pandemic has been good that way. We're finally seeing more hearings done through situations like this through video conferencing. I expect we'll have more of that. I also expect that so it's nothing futuristic. It's not the robots coming. As much as I want it to be robots, it's not what I expect right away. I think the future will be more video conferencing, more user-friendly interfaces for clients who are dealing with attorneys and dealing with the court system, the judicial system. So I would expect there will be more, hey, by the way, you don't have to leave your office to come to this hearing. You can just register through this link and appear that way. Because we saw the shutdown of trials for 60 days or something in our area, and I think it went beyond that. So I don't think it's anything like overly Skynet style. I think we'll see more of the kind of what's happened in the last 6 months, probably for the next 18 or 24 months.
It's been an eye-opener when it comes to video depositions, video mediations, video court hearings. I think a lot of clients and lawyers are actually preferring this. It's saving everybody time, trouble. You're not sitting in traffic. You're not billing for waiting down at the courthouse.
So it's saving everybody time and money.
Exactly, which is a good thing. It's good for the consumer. Tyson asked a question. Do you have time to answer a few questions, or do you got?
If it's from Tyson, I'd prefer not to.
But I understand that. I'm sorry, Tyson, but joke. So, we kind of touched upon this. Do you think the courts, Nick, will revert back to the norm in person or shift to video conferencing, and maybe a hybrid of both?
Tyson, my biggest fear, sadly enough, is that the pandemic won't last long enough and be severe enough that they will shift back to that. How about that for a fear? I mean, that's unfortunate. I hope that does not become the in-person goes back to being the norm. I look, there's plenty of times where you in trial, for criminal defense, you probably have to be in trial, but so much of what we can do, what lawyers can do, because I don't have to really do that stuff, not practicing, but so much of it can really be done video conferencing. And I sure would hate to see us revert back to the norm, except for those times when you really have to be in person.
Yeah. Sometimes, I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah. For so much of it, it's just easier. And it's more, think about the person who's working a job, but they got to run down to take care of their divorce. And you're just there for them to make it official. Why do I have to be there? Why can't we all just tune in? I saw the story about that. Maybe others have too, who got their divorce over Zoom during COVID. And it was like 90 seconds, and it was the least climactic 90 seconds of their life. And it was like, oh, well, that's easy. And then you don't have to take time off of work, go down to the hearing, which, okay, in COVID, you probably were already home. Didn't have to go down to the courthouse, find parking, take half day or full day off of work. And your lawyer has to also be paid for travel and all that. And it's just more efficient and cost effective.
I think we're going to see more tools being added to our options because, whether or not this happens again, or whether in California it's an earthquake. What's interesting is for the last couple of years in California, we have been able to appear by phone, by video, in person for most hearings and procedures throughout our court system. And most lawyers were opting to either use the phone or simply show up because there's something about being there right in front of opposing counsel. And if there's witnesses, especially on some type of hearing, it's hard to duplicate that in a video, almost like our friends who are keynote speakers trying to duplicate being on stage with their virtual presentations. But I think we're going to get there. right? We're going to
Yeah.
get there, and everyone's going to be more accepting of this whole entire process, both the good and the bad.
Right. And I think, Mitch, when it comes down to if you're going to jury trial, would I prefer that Mitch show up and I show up there and he represent me while we're at actual jury trial? Yeah, I would rather that be in person,
Yeah.
But in a lot of the hearings leading up to that, do I think it can be done over video? Yeah, I do.
Absolutely. It's I'll tell you what, I've got some other questions, and what I'm going to do, Nick, is for those people watching and for those listening to the podcast version of this next week, Nick, if they'd like to reach out, ask their questions, or contact you either regarding experts.com or Legal Tech Live, what's the easiest way for people to reach out and continue the dance with you?
Yeah, Twitter, either one of my Twitters, or I guess there's technically 3, but I have one for experts.com, which is experts.com VP, which you'll normally catch me on that between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. And then at Nick J. Rishwain is the personal one that you can, I guess, catch me at just about any time. But Twitter's the easiest. They can email me, nick@experts.com, if they've got questions.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Always good to see you. Stay safe up in Northern California, and maybe we'll see you a little bit later on this evening.
Yeah, this evening, or I'll see you in Legal Minds next week for sure.
All right, buddy. It sounds good. Stay safe. Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make it a masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody.